stay a while and listen.
And welcome to the Agony of Positivity, the AOP podcast, whatever you want to call it. I am Ross. Today, as always, joined by...
Solomon. Or Saul.
Yes. I like that you say it like a sad Pokemon, almost. So, Saul. Saul.
Or Saul.
So, alright, so this is take 2 for our intro today, because I thought I hit the record button, but I didn't. So, we've done an entire... No, not really. We did like an intro
Yes.
in a few seconds.
We did the entire show and we realized, we got to do it again.
I have had dreams that, well, I guess not quite a nightmare, but I've had bad dreams where I didn't hit record, which is one of the problems with the distance. But either way, so one of the things we wanted to touch on real quick up front on the show is because we have been getting a decent amount of new people listening to it to make sure they have an idea what to expect out of this thing, which is largely we do wrestling pretty much every single week. Way heavier. I mean, if you've even listened to a few episodes, we're way heavier on following AEW currently. Other wrestling comes up, WWE, NXT, NWA, Ring of Honor, super old stuff. Like, all that stuff comes up, but it's not very consistent. Like today, we had a request for a particular Disco Inferno match, and then because Disco Inferno matches are about a minute and a half each, I watched like 7 other Disco Inferno matches just to see what was going on, and there's some crazy stuff that we'll talk about to go along with the requested one. And then, let's see, so you want to go over, because we do like video games and TV shows, do you want to go over that real quick?
Well, let's talk about this, some of this wild news about the wild boar here.
Okay, well, and that'll be the other thing, is we'll just have like random meme type stuff that's come up recently. But yeah,
Just because everyone's talking about it, it's pretty funny, and you know, the world is filled with a lot of grim news. And anytime you get a funny story, might as well share.
Yeah. So when I saw this, but if you type in "Boar steals laptop," something along those lines, you'll find this. When I saw it scrolling through, I would assume Reddit is where I saw it. I only saw the picture, and I saw the word boar, and I didn't read anything further. To me, the picture looked like a boar had stolen a man's pants, and he was chasing it. And that was I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then I didn't really think too much of it, but you were telling me about the laptop thing, and I was like, well, that's real weird that there would be 2 boar stories in the same time frame. It turns out that it was the same story, it's just I never read.
Yeah, so since we've been restarted the podcast here, I've been reading the news article, and so you want to just read it?
Sure, go for it.
So apparently, this guy was swimming out in a lake out there in Germany, Berlin, and a female boar and 2 of her babies emerged from the forest and like ran up and stole the guy's pizza and started eating it while he was in the lake swimming or whatever. And then they took...
So, wait. Does it say if it was like a pepperoni or a sausage pizza?
It doesn't say. This says...
Because...
started eating the guy's pizza.
A boar is somewhat a pig type creature. And pepperoni... Like, that's morbid in a way.
Pigs will eat anything. Because my grandma had some hogs and pigs. Yeah. They'll eat anything.
Okay. Well, that's messed up in a way. But continue.
Sure.
Sorry.
No. So anyway, yeah. So apparently they ate the guy's pizza, and then they saw a yellow backpack, and the mother boar just grabbed it and started running away from it. At which point, I guess the guy was coming out of the lake and started chasing him. So in this one picture, you see the guy chasing the female boar and her 2 babies, and they're like all running from this guy who's butt naked, chasing after him.
Okay. So what I saw then, because I saw like the bright yellow thing in the mouth,
Yes.
I just assumed that was swim trunks. Now,
Gotcha.
as we've talked here for a few seconds, it would be impossible for the boar, unless the guy like had gone skinny dipping, to steal the shorts, because he would have had to, or she, I guess, would have been having to de-pants it.
Yes.
So I was also confused because I didn't pull the picture back up. I was like, well, that's a weird looking laptop, but it being in a laptop bag, like,
Yes.
like, I think this is a lesson that when you see a caption picture, you should probably read what's going on, or you're not going to have any idea, and your brain will fill in the blanks for you. Does it say if he got the laptop back?
Yeah, apparently he got the laptop back.
That's
I guess
surprising.
it's from. So yeah.
Does it say how? Like, did he manage to capture one of the babies and then ransom it to the?
It says, well, this article says, luckily, the naked victim was not stripped of his computer. So that's great. It managed to retrieve his property from the little swines.
I like the imagery that the article used, where it says the boars emerged from the forest. I imagine fog, and them just like coming through with like rock music.
Like ninjas.
Yeah, or something like that. I wish they would have used the same for like, and as the man resurfaced, the water tension breaking around him and steam coming off of him, he realized his laptop had been stolen by the boars,
Yes.
who were on their way back to the forest.
Yes. Well, at least they got the pizza out of it. So at least they snacked on the pizza.
Yeah, I would be. That's just. I don't know. I could now imagine around where I live having my laptop in a backpack and leaving it while I'm swimming somewhere away from it, and
Yeah,
thinking
but
it
he's
would be
out.
safe.
It looks like he's out in the middle of nowhere. Which is
Yeah.
even
Well, I
more
guess
amazing
it was a nudist colony or beach
Yeah, I
or
guess, yeah.
however that works. All right. Well, that's pretty entertaining. So
Sure.
other than that, like I've had a pretty uneventful week.
Yeah.
Anything crazy personally?
I've had a sinus infection all week, and being and living during a pandemic and having a sinus infection always gets you a little paranoid.
Right, because half the symptoms are the same.
Oh, sure. So yeah, and so other than that, I didn't really do too much.
All right. Let's see. I got a couple things that go with like wrestling stuff, but we'll do our bumper and get into that if you want to do that, or do you want to go to something different first this week?
Yeah, we do wrestling, I guess.
All right. I'm gonna do the short one. Here we go.
Why did Britt take her shoe off to eat that sandwich?
All right. I just did so Saul can't hear the bumpers when I do them the way we have this set up, but it is the Cody asking why Britt Baker had to take her shoe off to eat her sandwich from when she was beating people with the shoe every week for a while there before she was debilitated.
I was hoping the short one would be like the Warrior like screaming or something.
No. I have one somewhere, it's not on the stream deck, where it's when Hogan goes, like he's fighting the Dungeon of Doom, and he's in their like chamber, and he puts his hand in the water thing, and he's like, it's not hot. It just makes no sense.
Yes.
I still need to go back and watch all that, because I was not watching WCW at that point in time. So
I was not either.
Let's see. So we talked about this the other day, doing a Will Hobbs update, who is mostly on Dark.
Yeah.
He did not fare well this week against, I believe he fought Scorpio, correct?
Yes, I want to say he fought
Okay.
Scorpio, yeah.
Yeah, which I was surprised how that went. But so we've both decided that we're fans of Will Hobbs, although he's not got shown a ton, but he looks like a big, intimidating dude.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you want to slowly introduce the guy, especially if the guy is still kind of green at wrestling.
Right. But I mean, he's had some offense here and there. He looks like someone who could be pretty good. His story is sympathetic in a way. Like I can't root against the guy. Because he's the one. Yeah, you can go ahead.
No, I was saying his spine buster looks awesome.
Does it? I'll have to go back and check that out. I've just like his presence overall. I've been impressed with. So
Sure.
but yeah, he's the guy. If you haven't followed Dark at all, Like I guess there was like an incident where there was like a shooting and his brother basically jumped in the way and took a bullet for him, passed away from that. So that's one of those things where it's like, you tell me that story, but they're trying to position him as a heel. Like you'll see him on the heel side of the
Sure,
audience,
yeah.
I guess you can call it. It's like, it's going to be hard for me to root against that guy. Like he's going to,
Sure.
like, if you tell me that, I'm not going to forget it. He's a good guy to me. Like, but either way, so we got that. Scorpio Sky does have like his little promo on Dark where he's talking about being the king of Dark is not what he wants. And that comes up later in Dynamite this week.
I liked how when he was doing that speech, he was careful how he worded it because he didn't want to bury Dark as his being a jobber,
Right, it's their enhancement mid-tier show.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he didn't like tear Dark down, but he expressed his dissatisfaction with his current position, I guess you could say.
So I'm looking at AEW's ranking right now.
Yeah.
And I really wish they would explain how their ranking system works because so Scorpio Sky, I think he has like 12 wins.
Yeah, he has very many.
He's not even on the top 5.
Well, yeah, but he's beaten Will Hobbs. Like, he's beaten nobody's on Dark. So his strength of schedule, if you're going like...
Yeah.
And they said, like, there was some interview recently with Cody where he was saying that the reason they did it more like college football ranking is it's subjective, so you can actually have an opinion on it, which can create discussion or whatever. So he was thinking about content creators like us.
Gotcha.
And Dave Meltzer, I'm sure.
Yes.
Or Brian Alvarez, or any of the other countless ones. Well, since we're talking about, because we kind of talked about this off air a little bit, because like Cody has his match later on, and then Scorpio Sky kind of like comes and gets in Cody's face, and like they're going to have a match. So what do you think? Like, does that concern you, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I thought they were building to a match with, either Scorpio Sky faces Cody or he faces John Moxley.
Yeah.
At All Out. I thought that's where they were going with it. And then they're like, oh, next week on Dynamite.
Right, you thought he was going to get like a big pay-per-view match for whatever it was?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so now he has to win. I don't know.
It does feel... So I can see one of two things happening. And some of this is like fantasy booking, I suppose you could say. But it does seem like at this point he needs to win it, which, I mean, Cody's had the belt for a while, and it doesn't feel as big as the world title, but it feels like a pretty established title at this point. And I don't think it would hurt it to change hands on just like a regular show. I think Scorpio Sky would be an excellent champion. Like, as far as the next person to have it, he can have some pretty good matches with, I would assume, just about anybody. So I think that would be good. My other thought is Cody wins, but he pretty much just goes full on heel and like just outright cheats to win.
That's what I was thinking. Either, I mean, I don't think you could go the route of Scorpio Sky being the heel if he loses. I guess you could,
right?
But I think you would just ruin all that buildup that he's been doing on Dark.
He seems very likable to me, and it almost seems better. I don't know, like if the TNT title is going to be like defended so regularly, Cody's got pretty good matches with everybody he's had, but I think Scorpio Sky can do the same thing, and you build him up and let Cody go to the next thing. Whether that's or Scorpio Sky wins and then Cody loses it. Like, I feel like Cody's, if they're turning Cody, I think this is the the extreme catalyst to it.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. Like, so either you had to turn Cody
During the match.
heel, during the match, after the match, whatever. Because if you don't, I just don't think it. I don't think you can walk away from this match, Scorpio Sky losing, and then Cody still being a good guy and Scorpio Sky still being a good guy. I just think that would be
right.
terrible.
There needs to be a major development for somebody out of this one.
Yes.
Yeah, because it would feel, I don't know, I would feel real let down if Scorpio Skies, like, they kind of, it was a slow build, but it was also, like, real sudden that they got to that point. But yeah, if it's just like a straight up match and he loses clean and there's no shenanigans or dirty, like a dirty win or something, it's going to feel real anticlimactic to me, I think.
And they both shake their hands and say, okay,
right.
Job well done, and then move on. That will be dumb.
How would you feel if we got a time limit draw in a rematch at the pay-per-view?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to do it, I guess.
But, like, and when I say, like, the time limit draw, not like someone's in the middle of making a pin after a finisher and the time runs out. Like, they're both, like, just sitting in the corner because they've beat the heck out of each other, and then the time's out. Like, neither one of them could put the other away. And they do, like, a stipulation match, like Iron Man or something.
Yeah, I mean, that could work, too, I guess. I think you make a lot of people mad doing it like that, but, yeah, you could do it like that.
I mean, I'd be okay, because they've only had, like, 2 time limit matches so far? Yeah, that's been a while back. So if they do that, and if it's designed around building Sky up, I think I could live with it. But yeah, it just seems like it, as it stands at this moment, I just don't want something just straight up Scorpio Sky loses. Like, if he loses,
sure, yes.
It either needs to be from something dirty, or it turns him, like, something to further him along, as opposed to just a total letdown.
Agreed. Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've really grown to like the TKO finisher, just the way he snaps up into it. It looks so impactful. All right, so back to so basically sounds like we both want Scorpio Sky to win or something crazy to happen to make us okay with him losing.
Yes.
And maybe, hopefully something like that'll happen. But he wears a lot of red too, so the belt would match his outfits typically. Which I'm.
Yeah, I guess they said a new belt is going to be introduced, or the finished belt, I guess.
Yeah, somewhere soon. So that'll be nice. I want to see it in, on TV or whatever, because I've grown used to this one, but I still know that it just doesn't look right.
Yes.
So, all right. So we started this show off. If you compare, I've seen a lot of people comparing it by, well, the live version versus the pre-tape, because they do the 2 shows at a time, basically. And we always wonder if, like, the humidity and the heat affected people. But this show starts out with, like, a 47-man tag match. You got the Elite and FTR against the Dark Order. I love that it's, like, Exalted 1, Colt Cabana, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, 5 and 9. It's like, one of those is just a random dude.
Yes.
One of them's Allen, but the other is just like, I don't know who that guy is. Is it Brandon Cutler? Because it was a tall guy.
So the guy who's wearing, I don't know, the robe, it doesn't really do anything.
10.
The Exalted One, is that who it is?
Yeah, that's 10.
I mean, did Moxley actually break the guy's arm in real life?
I think he had to have an arm surgery because he was injured.
Okay.
So they made it part of it. Because I've noticed he still has like the arm, like a arm brace. Like, it's not a cast, but a brace. But I might be imagining that, and they just were like, "We're gonna let you keep training, but we're gonna make you look cool because you're a high knight of the Dark Order." But he basically just stands there looking kind of cool with the robe.
Sure. Sure.
Which really isn't
in the background with Anna Jay, so yeah.
Yeah, which isn't the worst thing. So this match, like, there's too much crazy goings on in this match to get super into it. But, like, would you agree this was way better than that 10-man from last week?
Yes, I will agree.
I went back and watched that finally, and I would agree with you and pretty much everyone else. There is just something not working. I don't know what it, I can't say what it was. We'll just blame the weather like we always do, or just
maybe
no chemistry for those guys.
Maybe it was because Inner Circle was all wearing. I think majority of them were wearing black, and it's like a soup bowl out there. So who knows?
Nope, it's just because they were all wearing the same color. They needed was Sammy to be in all blue.
Because, I was saying black because black usually draws the sun on. That's what I was saying. Not because they were all wearing the same color.
Yeah, I saw someone had the theory that when they do the live show, it starts right at 8, and when they're taping it for the next week, they start later, so it's less hot. Right. It seems like we're not the only people who just wonder if the heat is what the issue is. All right, so let me see. Looking over this match, I guess the big story is like they do like the FTR injury thing. They go to the back with Hangman, and then Hangman eventually comes back, but they're down, 2 people. And then
I was worried that the Dark Order was going to lose this match after having a advantage. I was like, man, you guys are not going to make these guys.
Yeah, I was real concerned with that too. I thought Dark Order would win once they did that, but it was like there's many things that happen during an AEW show where, because they don't have the established history of what I can expect out of situations, that I never know what they might do. But like with this, like when Hangman comes back and gets like the super hot tag, I would guess, he just goes to town on everybody. And he's basically like, all right, this is where I do all my stuff in the span of 2 minutes. And then he ends up being the guy who takes the pin from Mr. Brody, following up on their stuff. But yeah, so fortunate, in my opinion, and it sounds like yours too, Dark Order really needed to win here to not slide further down to not succeeding.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get down to the Dungeon of Doom level.
Right. Well, have you noticed, though, like, if Mr. Brody is the one involved, they typically succeed, but if he's not actually part of it, they have failed?
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, I don't know if that's, like, an intentional thing to show that he is absolutely the backbone of it, or not, but you also get, during this, like, Colt Cabana seems a lot more okay with being on the Dark Order side at this point. Like, where he's gone from reluctant to where he's like, man, I'm winning. This is pretty good. So,
he seems to be enjoying it. He's winning a lot more in the Dark Order.
Yeah, so they're working on that. One of the other things that I liked at the end of this match, this is like a little thing, and it happens all the time, but I always like it when it happens, is I think it was one of the Bucks was trying to get in the ring to break up the pin, but somebody like just basically grabbed him and was like pulling him away from the ropes so they couldn't make the interference for the save. I always like when I see that, because that's just that little thing, as opposed to just the person's laying on the ground and has no idea what's going on, especially in a 44-person match.
It makes it more realistic. Like, he can't get in to save his partner because he's being held back.
All right, so
I liked how one of the Dark Order guys saved Kenny Omega from getting buckshot lariat from Hangman.
I saw that and I couldn't tell if that was on purpose, because that was the random creeper, right?
Yeah, the random creeper just grabbed Kenny Omega's leg and pulled him under.
Yeah, like right when... Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was like an intentional thing or if it just kind of worked out that way. Like if there was a mistiming or what it was. But I did notice that. I just didn't know what to make of it. So that's interesting. So I wonder how many other people saw the same thing and was wondering about it, because I didn't see anyone else say anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, other than like, I guess Tony Schiavone said it, like, barely misses his partner type thing. And, yeah.
Right. But yeah, I don't know that. I might have to go back and check that part out, because I don't know if they pointed out that the way the creeper was pulling him could have caused that. But either way, Dark Order gets the win. I'm guessing we're going to get a Mr. Brody and Hangman match out of this.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of what the guy was leading off to there. Yeah.
If that match happens, do you think over under 10 clotheslines in that match?
Are you saying that the clothesline is Goldberg's spear?
I'm saying for Hangman and Mr. Brody, they like throwing the lariat.
Yes, they do see the yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, they both, like, Mr. Brody makes the discus clothesline not awful. Like, I see him hit people with it, and I'm not like, are you kidding me? Because initially I was against it. But
yeah, when he does his move, he definitely puts a lot of, like, wow, that looks like it would hurt.
I think it's just like, all right, you're going to eat this one. It's coming in hot. And then he just drills them. Yeah, most of the time when I see like Bradshaw always had a good clothesline, and again, I'm convinced that he was just laying it in as hard as he could. But Mr. Brody's spinning one is pretty brutal. So we have your favorite tag team up next.
Yes.
In this match. Best friends, right? Not Santana and Ortiz?
Oh, yeah. I love me some best friends. Let me tell you.
So, I keep telling you how much better Santana and Ortiz are than the best friends, but you just love that hugging thing. So, okay. So, just to clear Saul loathes the best friends, I'm pretty sure.
I don't.
Or is it Chuck Taylor? Do you just not like Chuck Taylor?
I just don't like the. Yeah, I don't know.
You don't like their. Well, their outfit doesn't really match.
There's just something about them I just don't like. I have never liked them.
Well, and you don't like their sense of humor, I guess you could call it. Like that's not your style. Weird, like everything about them.
I can see that. So they picture me as the type of people who would tell a joke and then they would laugh about it, and I'm just like, why are you laughing at your own joke? Is that what? I don't know. This.
So you don't like Jimmy Fallon? Is that what I'm hearing from that?
Yes, I also don't like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, yes. I don't like Jimmy Fallon either. Just because of that, because he can't keep it straight for anything. Yeah, it always feels like when you talk about best friends that someone actually went out of their way to design a tag team that has every characteristic that you don't like.
Yes.
Because it's everything they do for the most part. But either way, so, and then Proud and Powerful, you've always liked them, even back like to other federations and stuff, correct?
Yeah, I liked them when there was LAX. So I mean,
right.
And I mean, I understand that they're probably building a story to why they don't really win a lot in AEW, but I don't know.
Right, it just hurts you to see them lose to a team that you absolutely hate.
Yes, and then losing to the inferior tag team.
Right. So with this one, I mean, the overall match is pretty good. I thought the one thing that made me laugh is so when the best friends do the hug and they do the Okada Rainmaker pullout for the hug, if you look on the heel side, out of nowhere you see Jack Evans come up, like thumbs downing them hugging, and yes. I looked the rest of the show, and he's so far back you can't see him. So I honestly don't think that he was in the crowd like intentionally, and I could have just missed him. But I think he was just sitting there and genuinely hates the hug spot and was just booing it naturally like a fan. Like, not for TV. Like, he just hates the best friends hugging.
Maybe Evans is like, I hate the best friends too. I just want to let them know that.
Be like, they're such nice guys, but I hate everything about them in the wrestling world. But yeah, that just cracked me up because I was like, I haven't seen him on that side the entire show at that point. I didn't see him anytime after that. So it's like he just genuinely doesn't like that from where he came running. And I might be wrong, but I'm almost sure it was Jack Evans because he had on like the TH2 colors and everything. So,
I saw him there at the beginning of AEW Dynamite. So
okay, so maybe he was like coming back from a bathroom break and he was like, "Oh man, I hate this stuff." So the end result, unfortunately, best friends win. So we'll go to the next part with this, because they kind of got like rolled up or whatever, and so at least it wasn't like a definitive like you just got totally beat, like you got caught or whatever. But later in the show, we get Santana and Ortiz destroying Sue's minivan.
Yes.
Now, did that at least give you some solace, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I like like you said. That shows you that they know how to destroy a car, like a lot of wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, every shot they had with the sledgehammer, they knew to hit somewhere that would actually do something.
Yes.
Like, I've seen a lot where they take the sledgehammer to like the side of the door and it just basically rebounds and it was pointless. They hit like the weak spots or the rear view mirror, things that would break. So, yes. And then
or like Goldberg, just use your hand and just ram it right into the. Yeah.
You're like, well, I dropped an elbow on the windshield. I didn't think it would cut me.
Yes.
Oh, all right. And then they spray painted it. I did like they show like there was a Twitter picture I guess they put up or social media, whatever, where they had continued to destroy the van and it was up on blocks, and it.
Yes.
I like to imagine they actually did this and didn't have someone help them, but where there's the best spray painted on it multiple times. Yes. And a few other things.
Now, in your mind, is Ortiz screaming the best?
Yes.
Best as he's spray painted? Yes.
Absolutely. I cannot wait for him to get an action figure, and it better have real hair. Well, not real hair, but I want him to have like the fro.
Yes.
Speaking of the action figures, real quick, have you found any of them at Walmart, or have you even looked at all?
I've looked. I mean, I've made it my goal in life to look for them. But I mean, if I go to Walmart, I'm like, I'll go back in the action figure section.
Yeah, and see if you can find them.
The only thing I've seen was at this one Walmart was just the action, like the belt. That's it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've seen. I saw, and there's only one of them. There was one of the belt. I haven't seen the ring. I haven't seen a single figure yet. And I think I've looked at 3 Walmarts, so like I haven't gone out of my way. I'm tempted to today, because I don't have much to do. I might go and try to find the figures, because I can't decide if I'm going to try to get all the figures, because I got the Jericho, a little bit of the bubbly one since it came with the belt. Part of me wants to get the figures, but I already caught myself looking for, because they're about the same size as the Elites from WWE, so they would all work together. But I'm already looking at like old HBK, Dean Malenko, and Undertaker Elites. So if I start getting them, that is the textbook definition of a slippery slope. So
and I know that WWE has always made rings for their action figures.
Yeah, but
it seems like now, granted, I have been always looking for action figures because that's not my thing.
Right.
But it seems like I have seen more WWE like rings, like actually being sold. Is this something new, or have they always?
They got one ring for like the He-Man outlet or whatever. But yeah, they have like different rings. They have some rings that have like the spot where you can crash through the canvas. Like they just put out a ton of different rings, and I don't get it.
Well, because I didn't know if they were like, oh, hey, we need to start making these rings again because AEW is doing a ring, so we need to do it.
They've had quite a few different rings over time. But they'll like gimmick them with something, or they come with a cage, and like you got to buy the ring to get the cage, I think. So, because AEW only has the two. They have the one that you can get at Walmart, which if I do decide to, I'd probably get that just so you could set up to display them or whatever, or play with them. I mean, either way. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I wouldn't play with the toys, and then just start listening to Broski on the Major Wrestling podcast and go insane with the figure fed and all that. But they also have the ringside collectible, like the scale ring, which is a more detailed rings that comes with that special edition Kenny Omega. But I'm not spending $100 on a ring in a Kenny Omega figure. Now, if I win the lottery, you'll have a very different story. And also be like, well, I bought 47 old WWE figures so I could play with those too. Because after I get Malenko, HBK, and Undertaker, I'd probably have to find like Bret Hart and a few of the other ones they've done. So I really don't want to, because old figures are expensive.
Sure.
But all right. So I was just curious because I'm still on the fence if I want to actually collect them or not. But I feel like I'm going to end up doing it. So, and I got my I already got Brian Cage sitting here. He's dressed up as Bane, like he did on the one Halloween show.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
but it's actually like that
Brian
Bane figure is the same size. But yeah, there's some show where Cage, I forget who he fought, but he dressed up as Bane, and he did like the backbreaker and everything, and that's when I realized that I definitely liked Cage. So, all right, back to Dynamite. Let's see here. So we got more MJF at his campaign headquarters, where he's basically just a jerk to everybody.
Yes.
I mean, I don't... Like, listening to MJF do it is excellent, but to retell it, you just know that he was not nice to everybody, and had someone that looked like sorting out only green M&Ms, perhaps?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Like he was having a guy sort out his M&Ms and everything else.
So we moved from there. We got the bloodbath of Matt Hardy with Sammy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we could just jump to the end part there where he gets busted open, because it's pretty much Matt comes out, does his promo, Sammy comes out, and it looked like they were really just laying into each other.
Yeah, I think, because from everything I've read, it looks like that was completely just an accident. He grabbed the wrong chair.
Or just hit him wrong.
Matt Hardy. Yeah, hit him wrong or something like that.
Yeah.
But either way, whether it was done on purpose and they're just playing it off as an accident, or actually, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it needed that blood to make the feud,
more serious,
more realistic, more serious, or whatever.
Yeah. Well, because without it, I think it would have been fine, but it definitely added to it. Like, it added to the visual of Hardy sitting there. Because Sammy, after he did the crazy, I think it was a 630 to him through the table, like, he had blood kind of like all over him too, and it just looked visually so much better with that little bit of color to it.
Well, have you rewatched that part?
I saw like a couple replays of it where he goes from the ring post to.
I mean, he hit him hard with it.
Yeah, I mean, he eats it. Basically, it looks like he tried to catch it, and he just feet catched it basically with his hands, and just because you could see, like, at first you're like, it looks like there's some blood on the table, and then you're like, oh yeah, there is a lot of blood outside of his body.
Matt Hardy's like, hold my beer, Cody, hold my beer.
Yeah, be like, you don't even understand how to do this. I'm just going to eat this chair with my forehead.
Yes.
But yeah, but I would agree, like, with what you said though, like, that blood makes it seem way more serious, for sure. Because otherwise, like, I knew these two were eventually going to have a match, but I wasn't super into it. After the whole fight and everything, like, as intense as they were going after each other, even without the blood, it kind of sold me on it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like, how angry Sammy is. Like, they went from, I don't know, maybe I was lukewarm on it to I actually kind of care.
Yeah, I mean, the inner circle needs yeah. They need to be more vicious than the clown show that they've turned into.
Well, it seems like we're getting a little bit of that. And then, like, Matt, too, just being like, he's just going to be Matt Hardy or whatever. Like, that kind of helps as well, I think. So,
yeah.
But then, so we go from Matt laying in a puddle of his own blood and Sammy and his weird jeans. That's where, like, Santana and Ortiz went to town on the minivan. And then, so we already mentioned that. I would just like to point out how much I've enjoyed Taz being on commentary recently as well.
Yeah.
Again, we put Taz over every week, but this week is no exception. So,
Taz,
he makes me laugh.
I've always liked Taz. I thought he was kind of dead wrong in the wrestling industry. They could have did more with him.
Right. Well, he always, like, he'll make jokes about stuff, but he still takes it pretty serious. So it's, for my taste, he walks a very fine line that is excellent. Like, I really like him in Excalibur. So, now we get old Matt Cardona, who's always ready. Less woo and more just wrestling.
So,
does that help you?
So I didn't watch this match. I had to go outside for some reason.
Okay.
So, for whatever reason, I was never on the TV, so I didn't watch this match.
All right.
So,
well, I will tell you a story of this match. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of AEW, Cody Rhodes' friends showed up out of the blue to save him from a random attack of John Silver and Alex Reynolds that made no sense at the time.
Sure.
The next week, in the kingdom, they were booked in a tag team match so that Matt Cardona could get a hot tag and show what he could do. The surprise was that Reynolds and Silver actually got an awful lot of offense in and looked pretty good in this, I thought. Cody busted a rib or something, I guess they were going for. Like, there were some weird looking bumps for that. And then, yeah, towards the end, like, Cardona gets the hot tag and just hits people with lots of stuff. And then
I just figured that Cody would have been like, "Oh no, Matt, you're not going to steal this from me. Bleeding is my thing." And I figured that he would have,
bladed somehow,
bladed like his whole body or something,
and gets the hot tag. Like, he's just on the corner, and all of a sudden, like, he's bleeding for no reason, like on like Matt Jackson on Being the Elite. Yeah,
that tag from Cardona busted Cody open.
So, are you familiar with Cardona's finisher? It was the Rough Rider, like that jumping leg lariat thing. Have you ever seen that?
Well, other than him doing it last week on AEW Dark.
Okay.
So I don't really remember too much of this guy in WWE. So
yeah, I'll sum it up for you. Woo woo woo. Hey, everybody loves me. All right, let's push him off the stage in a wheelchair and ruin him. Sounds good. Like, he got done dirty for sure. I didn't like the character, but it was without a doubt people were getting into him, and they did him wrong. I'm pretty sure. Like,
I remember a few years back, I downloaded some kind of card game from WWE.
Yeah,
and he was in it. And in the card game, it goes woo 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 woo, and I was like, "What?" And I didn't know who it was because that's when I was watching wrestling,
right?
And I remember asking him, like, "Who is this jobber?"
Oh man, you could probably credit him with the start of, like, YouTube stuff to get yourself over, kinda. Like, he was one of the first ones to do it for sure, and he probably should get more credit for being innovative than he would by people. Because there was a lot of, can guarantee you, there's a lot of people like me who was like, this is not for me, and they just hated it and wouldn't admit that people liked him. I can easily say he was kind of like Enzo and Cass. I never got it because I didn't think they were that good, but people loved them, and you could tell. So it's like, yeah, they're not for me, but they're over. Like,
Yeah,
people love them.
see, Enzo and Cass, I like like them as a tag team, but I don't like best friends. So I don't understand what my
Right. It's, there's just that line.
My rating system is, yeah.
Right. No, I mean, it's personal taste. Like, some people like one type of steak and they won't eat the other, or, you know, whatever. But either way, like,
steak is
no, I do like that they changed the name from the Rough Rider to Radio Silence. I think that's a better finishing move, but I still don't like it as a finisher.
Gotcha.
When I was a little kid, because Hogan never wrestled on anything except pay-per-views or Saturday Night's Main Event, so you could never see it, I didn't really understand what the leg smash was. Like, I knew the leg smash was his finisher. Like, the video games at the time, you weren't really doing the leg drop like Hogan did it. The only thing I was familiar with was the elbow smash from Macho Man. So,
yeah.
Now this is ridiculous looking back, but as a kid, I thought when Hogan did the leg smash, I thought, because I hadn't really seen a leg drop either, because no one else could use it because it was Hogan's, was Hogan came off the top rope and caught them. Like, I thought basically like Radio Silence is what Hogan did as a finisher, but he did it off the top rope until I finally saw him do it on like old tape.
Which would be impressive.
How hilarious. Like, it shows how little I was and how little I knew. But could you imagine, like, the shape Hogan's in now from the leg drop if he would have been doing that stuff off the top rope? Like, but yeah, I thought it was like some kind of top rope move that was super flashy, which wouldn't have made any sense. But the things you learn.
Sure.
And
no,
then,
I mean, Cardona. I mean, I have no problem believing that WWE used him wrong.
Right.
So I mean.
Let's see here. So, and this is where we get like Scorpio Sky talking to Cody. So they're doing that. Best friends. They were very unhappy about his mom's van being destroyed, and the stipulation when they get beat is that they're going to have to apologize to his mom over speakerphone.
I hated this whole stuff.
I loved it because they like I love it. I don't know. Again, I should hate it based on other things that I hate, but it just made me laugh.
I think so. So here's what happened in my household. I came back from whatever I was doing during the Cody match.
Yeah.
I saw where Scorpio Sky and Cody kind of traded eye shots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they went to this segment, and I literally just turned around, rolled my eyes, and went to the bathroom or something. And I was like,
I completely believe that as well. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can get into the humor that they bring because it's almost just ridiculous.
Sure.
But either way, I'm gonna assume Proud and Powerful are gonna win out in this thing by the end. So, and there will be no apologizing over the speakerphone. Also, we got Twitter because Sue did join the Dark Order, and apparently Stu Grayson is pretty unhappy with Proud and Powerful as well. So
yes. Now, what if Sue does like Judy Bagwell and like betrays best friends or something?
The fact that I actually saw Judy Bagwell this morning watching an old Nitro would be very topical for me in a way.
Sure.
So our next segment, apparently the worst kept secret ever, because Eric Bischoff was mentioned as being the moderator for this thing forever.
Sure.
Like, I had never heard it, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it's Bischoff." Like, people weren't even like, "I believe it's going to be Bischoff." People just knew. So
yeah, I don't know how that got out. So it tells me that this segment was taped. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. Like, yeah, because this was the second they did the live show, and then this was the taped one. So like next week it'll be live. The week after it'll probably be taped. And I think that's when the weird move happens because of NBA. So
yeah. So their programming is messed up.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. That's probably gonna suck because they had a pretty good viewership this week, and then all of a sudden they're gonna start getting bounced around. We'll see what happens.
Well, I read, it kind of makes me kind of wonder about AEW. The guy who was like a major supporter of AEW,
Yeah.
TNT, got fired this week.
So for that. Well, the thing is that guy changes positions. Like, if you look at his employment history, every 5 to 7 years. So his moving individually, maybe not, but the fact that they're restructuring stuff. So we'll have to see. Hopefully they don't run into a situation where TNT's decide they don't want to do wrestling anymore.
Yeah, AOL buys
again somehow.
We told you we hate wrestling. Get this thing off here.
I would hope that with what they've shown so far, that if something does happen with TNT, either TNT is still on board with them because they're good for the network, or they can get a deal somewhere else. Because I would be like, it seems like they're starting to hit the pandemic stride, so to say, with the shows. Like, they're definitely getting a little bit better. Minus obviously like that 10-man tag that was a catastrophe, so to say, from a watching standpoint. So
what did you think about this debate? I was kind of
like we talked about this some the other day, where basically we kind of knew what was going to happen with this debate, but the whole thing hinged on, like, I assumed there was going to be a point where Orange Cassidy would have like a full-on promo, and it was going to come down to whether he nails that or not. Like, everything was window dressing to him getting a promo, and whether or not he nailed it, all that mattered. So
yeah,
and when it gets to the final thing and he basically cuts down Jericho and acknowledges how big of a match it is for him and just his delivery and everything, then I thought that made the segment great.
Yeah, because I was when I heard that they were going to debate, I was like, what are they going to debate about? Because it made no sense to me. But like you said, Orange Cassidy pretty much summed it up at the end. Like, the only reason you wanted to have this is you wanted to show that I can't do promos and everything. I mean, it makes me more excited for their
the rematch. Let's see here. Are you still with us?
Yeah, are you still with us?
Yes. Okay, it like just kind of trailed off, but yeah. So it made the segment work, where if that promo that he cut failed, that entire segment was awful.
Agreed, yeah. And I think you and me talked about it. I mean, it was cool to see Eric Bischoff back, but he really didn't contribute one way or the other. I mean, he wasn't needed in that thing.
Right, yeah, that was just like a reason to have like a guest star. But it was like, hey, we got this guy that's part of wrestling. We're just going to have him do something, and it's not going to be a big deal. Other than just having somebody for fun. Like, I'm okay with that. They didn't try to make him, he's the authority figure for one night. Or he didn't start some group like Bad Reputation or Resistance or whatever.
Yes.
Or whatever is going on with that mess. Talk about that for a second, maybe. I do want to know, because we were joking about this, but I want to buy a white jacket and douse it with orange juice and just leave it sit and see what happens to it over the course of a month.
Well, it's funny because, I mean, that jacket is getting oranger.
Yes.
As
I assume it looked like it was spray painted. And I like that Jericho was like, and I don't even understand. It was some kind of demonic orange juice. So, like, they reference that they don't understand how it's working that way. But
I really hope at the end of this feud, I assume it's going to be a final third match at All Out.
Uh-huh.
I hope the thing is completely like bright orange.
Yeah, it's just like it's a custom made orange jacket. Like, it's not even the same jacket. It has different shoulders and everything.
Yes.
But so my thought is Cassidy made it work. And then he gets beat up by Hager at the end. and we get the Judas effect. But yeah, so this sold you on the match, though?
Yeah, I mean, it makes me care because the first match I didn't really care too much about it.
Right, and I know like you weren't too into the rematch either when that was being kind of tossed around. But so did they do the old school wrestling where the promo has got you into the match?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Orange Cassidy made me like he said, if you beat me, it doesn't matter. But what if I beat you?
Right. Well, and he was super serious about it too. So I wonder if they knew that he would nail it, or if they're like, we're gonna find out, because if you blow this promo, Jericho's winning. Like, if it was one of those things, like, pressure's on, kid. Although I don't think he's a kid, he's older.
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be that's how AEW rolls. Maybe like, hey, sink or swim, buddy, here you go.
Right. I mean, I don't know how much Fire Ant talked, but he did good. So if they transition him to a more serious guy or like a serious competitor more often than not, that'll be pretty interesting. Now we get to our friend Britt Baker here. This is one of those segments that I hate, where there's you're going to fight a mystery opponent, and then the mystery opponent is like, this 8-year-old kid that you're going to crush, and then I'm going to be surprised. Because that's what happened here.
Well, the only thing is, Reba, I've actually seen her wrestle in matches, so yeah. I kind of knew. It didn't really surprise me too much. They were doing. She is a wrestler, so.
Right? So,
but they kind of played it. Anyways, go on.
I was gonna say, so because they played it as like she hasn't wrestled in so long that she didn't know what was going on. Now, when you saw her actually have like normal matches, is she pretty good?
I mean, she's all right. I mean,
is she better than what she portrayed here?
Yes, she is better. I was like, so you're kind of like Crocodile Dundee when he first came to New York, and he's like, oh my god, a car! What is this? That's how she was kind of portraying her wrestling. Like, I don't know how to do a flip.
Right. Well, because she came across very. I don't know if this is an insult or a compliment. It's meant as a compliment, because knowing that she had some wrestling ability, but I didn't know how good she was or how bad she was. She portrayed someone not knowing what to do very well. Like, if that makes any sense. Where it's like, if you haven't wrestled in a long time and you're not in that mindset, that you just wouldn't be very sure of yourself. Like, that came off to me. Like, if that's what she was going for. If not, then I'm just totally tearing her down, but that's not the intent. Like, I think she was trying to be like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And that's why she didn't have a very good showing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Because, I mean, I haven't ridden a bike in a while, but I would be like, if I rode a bike today, I would be like, oh my God, you use pedals. I would be like
handbrake. Yeah, but if you accidentally grab the front brake instead of the back brake, I mean, that's the equivalent in a way. You just flip.
Yeah. Sure.
So I think we missed it. Before the main event, there's a Moxley promo where he's kind of talking to Darby. Did you catch that one where he's sitting on the steps?
Yeah.
What do you think of that promo?
I thought it was all right.
And if no one saw it, he's basically saying that, there's going to come a point in this match where Darby is going to need to stay down because he really doesn't want to hurt him, but he knows that Darby's not going to quit, so he's going to have to probably hurt him pretty bad to end this match, and he hopes that it doesn't come to that, one of those kind of things. And also, like Darby reminds him of himself and that kind of stuff. So, did you get to see this match, or did you say you didn't catch this one?
So I started watching this match, and I'm just going to be honest, I was just bored with wrestling.
Yeah.
Or I just didn't care about this match. I just turned it off.
Okay.
I really didn't watch all of it.
Okay. So I watched the whole thing, and I liked it because it was different than their first match. It was still like they put over that, Moxley was going to have to do something pretty drastic to basically pin Darby. During this match, though, so there's pretty much what you would expect, like them beating the crap out of each other. But there comes a point where Wardlow comes out, and then MJF comes and grabs the belt and drills Moxley with it, and that busts him open. Darby hits the coffin drop, and MJF had mentioned earlier in the night that he doesn't care if Darby wins the belt, basically because he thinks he could beat Darby easier than he could Moxley. So he doesn't really care who has the title. He just wants the belt. And they did like the super long 2 count on this thing. And because they had planted that seed earlier of Moxley or MJF saying he wouldn't care if Darby had the belt, I really thought they were going to do something crazy. Like, all this is going through my mind, like, in this, like, 5-second span of the match, where it's like, they're really going to give it to Darby, and then MJF's probably going to cheat him out of the belt, like, so super short title reign. But, I can't believe they're going to do it. Like, I really thought that Darby was going to win the match after the belt shot and the finisher. It took him quite a while to get the cover and everything, so, Moxley kicks out and he ends up and they do like the thing where he gets him in like that sleeper choke. Like, he goes for another coffin drop, he catches him in the choke, and then Darby just won't go out to the choke. He does the gotch, like that cradle pile driver that Jerry Lynn used to do, and he still kicks out. So he drops him with like a like the elevated Death Rider or whatever, not off the ropes, but just like the brain buster version, I guess you could call it. And but it shows that basically like Moxley kind of cradled Darby, kind of like Lois and Superman, like at the end of Death of Superman, you know what I mean, where he's got it like holding him, talking to him, because he didn't really want to have to hurt Darby, but that's the only way the match could be. But yeah, so he's busted open, and
so not seeing this match and you saying that he cradled Darby like Lois did with Superman, it just seems weird to me. It kind of makes me want to rewatch this match then.
I thought it was a really good match. The fact that, and what made it so crazy to me is that I bought into them possibly giving the belt to Darby just so MJF could screw over Moxley and Darby in short order and make him even more hated. Because I'd say, like, Mox and Darby are probably 2 of the most liked people, and that'd be that, and the story they were telling, like, it was like, wow, I can't believe they might actually be doing this. So that's the end of that. So let's see. Do you want to talk real quick? We're kind of long at this point with everything, but the match that was requested was Disco Inferno versus the Giant on Thunder. So, did you get a chance to watch this? We'll call it a match.
Yeah, it was only like what, 2 minutes at that.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to do our Give Me What I Want bumper. 1 sec.
I'm in control here, and you're going to give me what I want. Give me what I want. You know what I want. I've been asking for it, and you're going to give me what I want.
All right. So, so this was requested. I don't know why. Sometimes I wonder about some of the requests we've got, like the Jake and Sting one. The person requesting that had to know that was going to be the biggest letdown ever to us. Because that match was not good. It was entertaining in a weird way, but this is kind of like the same thing. So when Disco comes out, he walks all the way over to the announce team just to tell them that he's the new icon. Goes to the ring.
Well, the announcers legitimately seemed confused why he was over there.
Yeah, like that wasn't part of what he was supposed to be doing at all. So let me see. I got some notes here. So I put new icon. I don't remember him talking about that at all.
Well, I also liked how Shivani told today, "Don't you ever give someone your headset." I'm like, what?
Well, there's so much weird. So this is, sorry. So with Disco, like, if people have never seen Disco Inferno's entrance, he basically comes down to the ring. Typically, they do like the overlay where his face or him walking out is on the disco ball. He gets in the ring and does like the disco dance, but Tony Schiavone is just, for whatever reason on this day, he's had enough of Disco Inferno. He's like, he's not even dancing. He's just shaking his butt. And I think it's Heenan or Tenay or whatever was like, well, he's doing it in rhythm. But Tony Schiavone was like super hung up that it wasn't even dancing.
Yeah, I don't know, like Schiavone, like you said, I don't know if he was just having a bad day. He was definitely playing the heel because he was kind of rooting for the Giant here.
Right, and I don't think this was when he was totally like mentally burnt out yet. But, or I mean, I can't remember. I didn't get to watch Thunder hardly ever. Like, I don't know if there was some kind of Schiavone disco incident or something. But yeah, either way. So next we got Giant coming out, and he's part of the NWO at this time. He's out there with Vincent. I want to call him Virgil, but
Vincent, whatever his name is. Yeah, I
forgot that part of the Giant's gimmick, because being a literal giant and bigger than everybody is not enough. You need something a little bit more. So he would come to the ring with a lit cigarette, like he's freaking Sammy Farha or something.
I don't understand why he was doing this.
I forgot that. Like, as soon as I saw it, I remembered that he did that for a while. But I don't know. I did no research to find out what the purpose behind that was. I'm sure it's come up somewhere. Whether probably came up on the 83 Weeks podcast with Bischoff. But
I understand that he's younger in here. That I saw him in WWE.
Yeah,
but the Giant here, or the Big Show, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah,
he was big in this, and just like he was in real good shape here.
Yeah, his chest is massive in this. So, younger guy, like pretty built. So the Giant, like everything about this match is the before or after to it.
Yes,
and I love so he gets in the ring. Disco apparently gets more promo time. So he grabs the mic and he's talking about people didn't come here to watch the Giant smoke. And I believe he actually says, because I typed it out, they ain't come to watch you smoke. And then they start the match, and Disco, he punches him 4 times, hits the ropes, and then just gets obliterated for 30 seconds.
Yeah, that clothesline he does. He just destroys Disco.
Yeah, and then, so pretty amazing ending, but he hits him with a choke slam, and I think at that point Vincent gives him back his cigarette, and then he just does the 1 foot pin to him.
Yes.
Something else I noticed, Vincent has his jeans tucked into his boots, but they're baggy jeans, so it just looks real weird, and I hated it. And then someone on commentary was like, Heenan was like, well, Disco tried everything. And I was thinking, 4 punches was everything? So
the one thing I noticed about the audience, my God, there are so many poster boards. I would be so mad if I paid to go to an arena match like that and all I saw was poster boards. Yeah.
Well, usually people had them down if you weren't on the hard cam side. So it wasn't too bad, because I went to Sold Out and a few other events back in those days, and you have usually once the matches started, it wasn't too bad to see around. Now we were always up in the bowl area wherever we went, so we didn't have the floor seats, so that might have been different, but usually it wasn't too bad. But yeah, it is real weird that no one signs aren't a thing anymore, not like they used to be.
Well, they shouldn't be, because I don't know. It's just distracting. I don't like them.
Right. Did you notice though that the crowd was fairly into Disco?
Yes.
So out of the match, I watched quite a few of his matches. I was shocked at how into. I don't know if it was just the music or him, but people were into it way more than I thought. So,
well, I mean, because I watched this entire episode of Thunder, and the fans were into like
everything.
It was Mongo versus Brian. I don't know what the guy's name was, Brian Steely or something, some jobber guy, and the fans, man, were so behind Mongo. I'm like, wow, you guys, Mongo actually had a following here.
Yeah, I can't explain it. That's for sure. So did you watch? Did anything else crazy happen on this Thunder?
Yeah, and I think I mentioned this to you. The fans, man, when Mongo came out, they were all chanting Four Horsemen.
Yeah.
They all wanted the Four Horsemen. I'm thinking, why didn't WCW see this? Like, well, hey, people want the Four Horsemen, but we should bring them back as a legitimate threat.
No, you can't do that. If you have a faction, so I learned this from WWE. When you have a faction, you need to single out one person that you want to make out of that faction and then destroy it no matter how much is left in it.
Yes.
Much like a tag team, tag teams only exist to find the Shawn Michaels.
Sure.
I don't believe that at all, but that's how I feel the wrestling world is. Now, New Day is doing their best to fight that, where they're like, dude, we could have a singles run. We don't have to turn on each other. It's like, and it sounds like they fight to make sure that is how it is, but...
Oh, they can fight all they want, but eventually the old man's going to get what he wants.
Right, if he decides that, it'd be interesting to see, though. Like, you hear about New Day, like, holding out or doing, like, pulling like an Austin kind of thing. But I think people would be, like, totally on their side about that. Where it's like, yeah, it does kind of make no sense that no one can actually just be friends and they can do their own thing. So that's one thing that I'm hopeful for with AEW is that they will, team like SCU. They didn't have Scorpio Sky turn on everybody. They're just like, oh, Scorpio Sky is going to focus on singles. There you go. He can still be friends with him.
I think Vince McMahon views, humanity as just a bunch of buffoons. And
fair.
I don't know. And this is how we because some of the storylines, I'm just like, why would you think that's cool, or why would you go that route?
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know what he's doing sometimes. I'm sure we'll eventually be like, I don't know what Tony Khan is thinking.
Sure.
We'll get there. But so, did anything else other than just like general crowd reaction stick out to you on that Thunder?
No, not really. Lex Luger came out.
The excellence of execution.
He's with the Wolfpack for some reason.
Yes.
He babbled for like 8 minutes.
So I've told this before, but I hated Lex Luger so much that I got a birthday cake once with Lex Luger on it because people were willing to spend the money for the joke. If that tells you anything. So, people would pick Lex Luger in any of the old video games that you could pick Lex Luger just to try to beat me. Well, fortunately, Lex Luger sucked in all the video games too, so pretty easy to beat. But,
sure.
Like there's a brief window when I thought the torture rack was super cool when I was little. And then I realized that Lex Luger is garbage. Around the Narcissus time.
I remember when WCW, Sting and Hogan, they were building up the Sting and Hogan fight, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, the fans were really into Lex Luger. And he had that match, and I think he beat Hogan, actually.
Yeah, for the title.
And I was like, what? Why would you do that?
It seemed real weird to me, too. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess that feels like one of those, they did it for shock value. Like, oh, you never know what's going to happen, which I hate that. Certain things I'm okay with that logic.
We did, because Hogan got the belt back next week.
Well, if it would have been anyone but Lex Luger, I probably would have been like, okay. But because it's Lex Luger, I don't know. I just didn't. Sure, Lex Luger's probably a halfway okay person to talk to. Wrestling-wise, I just couldn't stand Lex Luger.
I'm with you.
So, did you happen to watch any other disco matches?
No.
All right.
I mean, I saw some of his promos, but yeah, I didn't see it.
So I'm going to tell you a few stories here. So there's a match that listed. So this was just on the network. So I put in Disco Inferno, went and found went to the matches tab and found the Thunder one we were looking for, and I just started kind of going from there. There's one where it says it's him versus Sid. And I was like, well, this can't possibly be good for Disco, and so I had to rewind it because it's not really a match. So at one point in time, Sid, I don't remember this at all. Sid was the U.S. champion, and Disco had just had a match against some guy. He won with the Chartbuster, Stunner, whatever you want to call it. And then all of a sudden, Sid shows up. I think Disco had cut a promo on him or something. But Sid has, I'm almost sure it was Little Nate, the referee with him, wearing the U.S. title. So the referee that he has with him is wearing the U.S. title. But the referee also has the Millennium record or something that says 80-0. And then Sid just randomly power bombs both of them and gets a 3 count on them. The other referee of the actual match counts a 3 count. And then all of a sudden, Sid's ref holds up a sign that's adjusted to say 81-0 or whatever for the Millennium record. So I don't know if he was working towards fighting Goldberg and he was making his own streak. Because if you remember, there was a point where Goldberg had to beat his old streak, and they'd have him punch someone, and they'd count that as a victory towards the new streak.
Yes.
I don't know if this was a mockery of I don't understand what was going on, but either way, Sid powerbombed the Disco out of Mr. Inferno there. I just thought that was funny.
Chances are WCW didn't know what was going on here.
One of the great things, though, is Sid was standing over top of Disco, and he was something about the belt being clean or prestigious for the first time. I forget the exact word he used, and he was like, but trash like this, pointing at Disco, can't touch my belt. So, real nice to Disco there. And Disco just sold the powerbomb, I assume, the whole time. There is another Disco match where he fought Rick Steiner. And this is apparently the TV title was involved or something. And it's there's 2 instances that I found. I think it was on this one. So Rick Steiner, you're starting to hear the laughter from the Chucky feud that Rick Steiner had with Chucky, where he eventually says, Chucky, you cut it out and get out here or something, calling out Chucky to the ring. But during this match, some guy named Tony Marinara comes out talking about Disco owing him money, and he has a bucket of cement. This guy goes over to commentary because I was like, what is that? I was like, it looks like a bucket of cement. They're like, yeah, that's a bucket of concrete. And he's talking about he just says over and over how Disco owes him money. And wow.
So was this a forgotten storyline?
I have no idea what was going on here. So Rick Steiner, I have here with less grace than the bucket of cement, beat Disco. And then this Tony Marinara guy is screaming at Disco and he's chasing him with the bucket of cement, trying to dump it on him or something. But it just cuts to Sting sitting in the back. You have no idea what happened. It's they're like, this sucks. Just go to Sting. So the Steiner thing leads to something later. Go ahead.
I would like to think that maybe that was real life, and the guy
he got past security.
He got past security, and he Disco actually owed him real money. I don't remember that storyline at all. I
have no idea. I didn't look it up because I don't want to know. I might look it up for a future episode to find out what's going on. But yeah, the fact that it was my name's Tony Marinara, and I rewinded it because I was like, I had to hear that wrong. Nope, Tony Marinara, like the sauce. So,
you kind of wondered if Eric Bischoff went to the bathroom or something. He came back and he's like, "What is this? Go to Sting. Go to Sting.
So, do you remember when Tank Abbott was in WCW?
Yes.
All right. So Disco had a match with Tank Abbott. There's a little bit of like pre-match stuff where I think it was Tony Mamaluke and Big Vito, and like Disco was trying to align himself with them as like full-blooded Italian, like something along those lines. But I don't know. So I think he was like having to prove himself in this match. But this match is ridiculous. Tank was a lot more in shape than I remember him, like compared to nowadays.
This sounds like the dark ages of WCW when I was tapping out. But yeah,
this match was hilarious. So Disco pretends to faint so that he doesn't have to get punched in the face by Tank Abbott. That doesn't work. Tank Abbott picks him up. They do like a little bit of exchanges here and there. And then Disco goes to kick him because I think he's trying for the Chartbuster again. But Tank Abbott catches him and pulls off his shoe, punches him in the face and knocks him out, picks up his shoe, lays the shoe on Disco's face, and then the referee like raises his arm 3 times because he's knocked out cold, and that's the end of the match.
Okay.
But I liked the added assistance of putting the shoe on his face for some reason after he knocked him out. Like, it was just ridiculous.
Like it was Thor's hammer. Like he couldn't remove it or something.
Right. So there's one of the other ones that I watched is Dean Malenko against Disco. So I don't know what this was about, but as Disco's coming to the ring, it's the normal stuff. It cuts to these 2 chicks in all black inside the barricade. Okay. So they're on the padding, like, you know, they're between the railing and the ring, and they're dancing to the disco music, but no one says anything about it. It's just 2 chicks dancing to the disco music. With because you know they had like it didn't look like it was the Nitro Girl, like any of the Nitro Girls that they had back then. So it's just I don't know if he had groupies at one point. Like they didn't get involved in the match or anything, but it was just super weird.
That sounds like WCW.
Just 2 girls. Like they weren't dressed like provocatively or anything. So I don't know if Undertaker had his like Creatures of the Night at one point where there'd be like these 2 people that were very like pale. Maybe this was Disco's version of that.
Okay.
But you know, Dean Malenko just obliterates him in this match. So Disco fought real hard to not get it. There's another match versus Scott Norton, Flash. This is before he's NWO. Disco does the Macarena when he comes out, which I thought was funny. Again, Disco just gets absolutely obliterated in this match, as happens in every one of these. I did find there is a rematch of Disco when he was trying to earn the colors of the NWO Wolfpack, fought the Giant again. How do you think this one turns out?
If he wins, I assume it's something to do with the NWO Wolfpack helping him out.
No. He got, I believe it was like 4 kicks this time instead of punches. Like 4 kicks to the leg. And then he actually hit him with the clothesline he was going for the first time. And then the Giant just knocks the tar out of him.
Was the Giant still smoking a cigarette?
No, there's no cigarette this time. And then when he goes to chokeslam him, like back, you know, like when he'd hold him up forever, he takes him up and then he stands him on the top rope and then he does it to him off the top rope this time and pins him. Now, Disco had a much better showing, I guess you could say, for getting jobbed out, basically. Like he did. This was way better than the first match. Like it actually got like 3 minutes, I think. So,
gotcha.
But most of that was him just getting obliterated. So that's the biggest stuff. The thing that I wanted to mention, this is going back to Rick Steiner. Rick Steiner, for some reason, in one of these things I was watching, is cutting a promo about Scott Steiner. And he's talking about Scott Steiner's afraid of me because, sure, he said like dog pound and a whole bunch of other stuff a dozen times. He was like, but I can beat up Scott Steiner. He's like, I've been doing it since he was 1. It just stuck out to me. I was like, beating up a 1-year-old? That is messed up. So I looked up their age difference because I was real curious. So Rick Steiner, now, it's weird for the days, but it's basically like a year and 4 or 5 months is how much older Rick Steiner is. So at the age of 2 years old and 5 months, he began beating up Scott Steiner as a 1-year-old. Is basically what that means. Now, I was worried that I was going to look and it was going to be like a 5 or 6 year age difference or something. So you have like a 6 or 7 year old or a 5-year-old or something beating up a 1-year-old. I guess a 2.5-year-old against a 1-year-old is a more even fight. But that is just... So I just imagine like big head baby Rick Steiner beating up Scott Steiner.
Scott Steiner, big bad hootie daddy, talking to the
right.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, because he said it, it just stuck to be like, beating him up since he was 1? What? Like, that's insane. So
where we at on time there?
We are long. Yeah, we're at like almost 1:30 already. So,
well, let's talk a little bit about Raw because there's a lot of ridiculous.
All right, yeah, because this is
WWE.
What was, I forget, because I know SmackDown had Retribution or whatever. Didn't Raw have it as well? Oh, Raw Underground. That's what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw something where I don't care about Raw Underground at the moment. I kind of watched it. I was like, this is them trying something different. Let's see how it I'll give it a little bit of time, but I don't think it's going to be my thing. Because you're mixing two worlds.
WWE's thing either.
We'll find out. But someone was like, where is it? There's a news article on Ringside News, it looks like, where WWE might have stolen Raw Underground idea. Well, underground fighting with this design is really old. So, I mean,
there might be some kind of argument with Lucha Underground, maybe, because I don't know if you ever watched Lucha Underground.
I'm familiar with it. Like, I didn't watch it a ton, but
it seems very. But like you said, it's in movies and TV, so
right.
It's not a new idea.
Yeah, it's not like it's like, I can't believe you had somebody turn on somebody. You stole that from Judas. Like,
yes.
Like pretty much every idea has basically been done. Any faction's been, like, whatever a faction's going to do has been done. It's just, how can you present it this time to me? We've basically been watching the same story in Dragon Ball forever, but it's still interesting 90% of the time. So,
sure.
For myself at least. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird to bring Shane McMahon back because he got beat and fired or quit or whatever. But he's been gone longer than I ever expected him to be. So,
I don't think he really brings anything to the underground thing either. You know?
Right. It's going to need more time to play out, I think, for me to have like a really solid opinion on it. At first glance, I don't care.
Well, like this one podcast I was listening to said, like, it would have been something if like Shane McMahon was like on an island somewhere and he was like doing some kind of outlaw. Basically, you know what I'm saying? It's like some kind of outlaw underground thing, maybe there on an island. But he's like, they're doing it in a performance center in a closet somewhere. So it's like, it kind of doesn't have the same, I don't know. I think they could have presented it a little bit better than what they did.
I would agree with that from the little bit that I saw of it. Time will tell. I just don't have... Things like this make me think of the Brawl for All, which was just a train wreck. And I just assume the same to follow. Like, I'm always curious if WWE will follow through on stuff correctly, or what I feel is correctly, or, a majority of the fans feel, based on past history.
It gives me a story of why these people are fighting each other. I understand people. There's some people in the world that like just to fight people. I get that, but
right.
There has to be a reason why people are there.
Yeah, like fighting. Start with Fit Finlay there, who's like, I just like to fight. He said that a lot.
Sure. Like some kind of money prize or a trophy or I don't know. Give me something why these people are there.
Right. You need a little bit of a story to at least get you somewhat interested.
Yes.
Just seeing random dudes banging doesn't.
That's a great. You might want to reword that.
That is Chris Lieben's fault from Ultimate Fighter, first season, I believe. Like, they would refer to dudes banging as like when they were fighting, and I always found it the most hilarious thing ever. So
now here's an idea for it. Like, if they would have had like all the people that WWE recently fired, there wrestling to get a WWE contract, see that would have been a little bit more interesting.
Right. Yeah, we'll see where they go with it. Let's go to the other weird thing. SmackDown has Retribution show up, and it's a bunch of basically it's a bunch of people in all black with ski masks that are terrorists, I suppose.
Yes. So
I had linked you a video. We just like pulled something from like Metro UK or whatever, where they had like a clip of it. There's one guy who keeps screaming, "You better go home." They're just beating up camera people and chasing people off. The crazy thing is taking the chainsaw to the ropes.
Yes.
There's more screaming, "You better go home."
No.
Or better leave, or whatever. He just kept saying it over and over. They tear up the ring, I guess. What?
I think this. I don't know. I watched the video of them like terrorizing the ring, using the chainsaw and everything. I'm just like, you're not a cool group. I don't care anything about this group.
Well, we've seen something similar with the Nexus. I mean, that's been quite a while ago, but like Nexus showed up, beat up John Cena, destroyed the ring, and then kind of did some stuff, but then they couldn't beat John Cena. And then that group kind of died. I mean, I don't know who, like, obviously they have the masks on purpose, but what are they going to do? Like,
I mean, the only thing I've seen these guys do is turn lights off. Maybe they dropped the box or tipped the box over. Blew up a transformer. And now they're like destroying the ring. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. Now, if it comes out like there's a leader to the group, and the leader's like somebody that's a big name, that might make it a little more interesting. Like, oh, so it's this guy with some lackeys. Like, say they got CM Punk to finally decide to want to wrestle, and he's the leader of this. I'm interested, but I'm not sure how far it'll go.
Yeah.
Like
at this point, I'm just rooting for like the crappy DX to come back with their merchandise and just ship them all back over to wherever they need to go.
Yes. Bring the cage and ship them back to OVW.
Yes.
Poor Spirit Squad. What if this is the Spirit Squad coming back for vengeance, and it'll be led by Dolph Ziggler?
This is the evil Spirit Squad.
There you go. I think we just figured it out. You have no idea how badly I hope that that's what actually happens.
I hope Vince listens. Oh, Vince McMahon listens to this podcast. He's like, "Oh my god, that is a great idea." evil Spirit Squad.
Oh man, how big of a letdown would that be though if it was like, and our leader is Dolph Ziggler, and then they really are the Spirit Squad with a girl.
I think I kind of actually want this to happen now.
Be like, wow, that really is awful. So on NXT, I just want to mention this real quick. Someone else got like kidnapped or attacked in the parking lot again. Like, just nothing more on that. It's just that parking lot is super unsafe. Like, that happens so often.
You would think WWE would get some kind of security out there or something.
Or yes, I mean they got cameras. Maybe get some people to monitor the cameras.
Yes.
Like, it has to be a joke at this point, right? Like,
well,
hey, we need
just from what
somebody
you
to.
told me.
We need someone to have something bad happen. We gotta do it in the parking lot. It's in the rules. It's the charter of the company at this point.
Yes. So, anyway, well, I think we should wrap this up with good rambling about wrestling now for about an hour and a half.
This went forever. Well, the stuff with Disco. What's funny is if the person who wanted us to review that match is actually just a fan of the Giant, but we focused on Disco Inferno instead.
Now, what if the guy who requested the match really likes Disco Inferno, and he's like, "Yo, Disco really never got
a fair shake," and then we just proceeded to bring up every moment that buried him.
Yes.
I mean, he's got like a 14-minute match against Ric Flair, but I didn't watch that because I could have watched 7 other things of his at that time.
A 14-minute match against Ric Flair.
I saw it said versus Ric Flair, and it was like 13 or 14 minutes. So maybe I'll go back and watch that.
Yeah,
probably. Now, if someone wants to request like good disco matches, I mean, he has got a ton against like the cruiserweight division where they're like longer matches. So I know he had like some good matches, but I just thought to go with the Giant one that this stuff was pretty funny. And we find out about two-year-old Scott Steiner beating up, or 2-year-old Rick Steiner beating up 1-year-old Scott Steiner.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope you guys have a great week.
Yes. And
I like how you paused there. You're like, I don't know if I agree with that or not.
Some weeks I don't want people to have a better week than me. So get our outro going and take care, everybody. Hey,
Twitter.
Also,
Look us up on Twitter.
Yeah, at the AOP podcast. There you go. We got a picture of the logo. So
And YouTube's. And,
yeah,
and the Facebook.
The Book of Faces. We have the website agonyofpositivity.com. You got a player on there. Yeah, we really need to plug stuff in the beginning.
MySpace.
Yes. We're going to have name on a page when that's the new thing. So, all right.
Friendster.
We'll do some LinkedIn. All right, here we go. Outro.